Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in today. It is Monday, it's the day before New Year's Eve, and if you missed the last video, it was obviously a lot longer than much of my other content. There was a lot of information in there about my approach to goal setting for 2025, as well as some things that I discovered when I was reflecting on things I've accomplished in 2024 and just how that year went for me. So, we're one more day closer to the turning of the calendar year. If you haven't had the chance to watch that, I know it's a longer video, but I feel like I had some valuable information in there. So, but yeah, anyway, I just trying to lean into this whole idea of really being intentional about the new year. There's a lot of cliches. I mentioned this in my last video. There's a lot of cliches around the changing of the calendar year, but I think it's just as good a time as any to take inventory, kind of think about where you're at, what's going well, what areas do you have to improve, what things have you seen God move in, what things do you feel like he's stirring in you, and what things do you want to see more fruit in your life. And it's funny because on that topic, I was just on the phone with a good friend of mine, Jalen, and by the way, if you haven't ever watched any of his content, it's extremely good. You can check the link in the description for his videos. He's a good friend of mine, and he's a lot of really very, very great source of wisdom, strong man of faith, strong man of good character. So definitely recommend his content. But yeah, I was talking with him about just some things going on in my life, some things I've been concerned about and praying through, and I was sharing with him that I was in one of the areas of my life, specifically finances. I was having to I knew some changes were coming, and it's not so much that I felt like desperate or I wasn't going to be able to make ends meet, but I know that in the coming month or so, I'm going to really have to tighten my budget up in order to sustain myself. And it had me, a few weeks ago, starting to look at taking a part-time job, even though I work full-time and I'm freelancing and running a business. I was talking with him about it, and he really reminded me of something significant that was a big lesson that I had learned while I was at rehab earlier this year. And I feel like it's not that I lost sight of it, but I really, I let it fall by the wayside. And it's this principle that God really wants us to depend on him. He wants us to trust him, and not just in spirit, not just for emotional support, not just for companionship or for guidance and truth, but to really trust him with the tangible things. He doesn't want to just be our comforter and friend. He wants to be our provider, and he wants to be, frankly, he wants to be our father, and in saying all that, in my last video, I talked about how the one thing that I made sure to make to myself while I was at rehab were certain commitments. At that time, I could not change any of my circumstances. I had no cell phone. I was not in contact with my employers. I was in another state, focused on getting support for my addiction, going through treatment, learning those things. And there was nothing I could do to change my finances. There was nothing I could do to protect my job. It's not that I was going to lose my job, but you get what I'm saying. I had no direct influence on my home circumstances. And so the only thing I had control over and some sense was, what was I doing while I was there, and what commitments was I going to make to myself and to the people that matter to me and to God when I left. And so that all being said, I shared this with Jalen, on our phone call tonight, but I also had a meeting during my shift at ECMC today with a young lady she's looking into starting a nonprofit organization. And we were going through things, and there was, I've never started a nonprofit, but I have some general knowledge of like business structure and how to run an organization and how an operation would look and things like that. And so I was just offering any guidance I could, helping her answer some questions that she needed to get answered. And I had a feeling going into this meeting that there was going to be certain questions I was going to ask that would bring to light information that could be discouraging to her. Just the complexities of obtaining funding for a nonprofit, the challenges. Specifically, she wants to start a sort of a respite home for homeless individuals in our city. And I was just asking some questions that, are very important to keep in mind, that I know had the potential to just discourage her. And I remember pausing in the middle, and I was saying like, hey, listen, let's just take a minute here just to talk about something else that's really important as you walk toward setting this up. And that's the significance of your personal motivation for doing this. And I say all this to say that, if you're considering making some changes in 2025, if you're considering praying and asking God for some support in a certain area of your life, or you want to see more fruit in a certain area of your life, whatever the case is, I encourage you first to examine your heart. Examine the posture of your heart on the matter. Consider whether you're operating out of trying to fix something about yourself out of fear, whether you're trying to avoid an opportunity to trust God in a new way, like, me with that part-time job, right? Consider maybe if you're acting impulsively because of a misunderstanding about something. Just consider your heart posture in whatever it is, whatever goal you're trying to set, because that will affect your experience as you seek to change the thing. And when you've done that reflecting, think about what commitment you want to make and ask God, definitely ask the Holy Spirit for guidance on it, but really think about what kind of commitment you want to make to yourself and to the people that would be affected by your pursuit of that goal. And hold tight to that commitment. Because what I shared with the young lady that I was working with today and with Jalen is just a realization that I've had, and it's that commitments will not change when circumstances do. I'm going to say that again. Commitments will not change when your circumstances do. Circumstances may inspire emotions. They may inspire fears and worries and doubts. They can even inspire joy and excitement and fulfillment. But the one thing that would stay consistent in all of it, it's the posture of our heart. It's the commitments that you've made. They will remain steadfast even in the midst of new challenges and a changing circumstance. So just hold on to that. And as you walk into 2025, I pray that we would all just stay surrendered and stay focused. Have an awesome night.